Okay, so they're after the fuel transfer, they're heading to the moon. They're going to do the slingshot around the moon to catch up to the asteroid. They say 9.5 Gs for 11 minutes. Is that realistic? Is that survivable?
Shuttles are ready for the burn around the moon.
Radio contact terminated.
9.5 Gs for 11 minutes. I'd start praying about right now.
9.5 Gs for 11 minutes. That sounds like a lot of Gs for a lot of time.
Are you saying? So are you saying? Is it the right number? Is that a reasonable number? 9 Gs?
I guess the first question is it survivable? To me, it sounds very borderline. It sounds like a lot of Gs.
So I think fighter pilots, they wear these like compression suits after 4 Gs.
Yeah.
So after so like 5 Gs and 4 and up, they get these suits that are basically airbags, and they turn on and they squeeze the blood so that way it keeps the blood in your stomach and your brain, so you don't like pass out and then you can't handle this anymore. Right? But I don't know if that's survivable or if that's like a functional requirement. Like I need to keep the blood in my brain so I don't pass out.
Human tolerance. Here we go.
Ooh, there we go. Okay.
All right, so there's a difference between downward into the seat of your pants versus upward. I think upward were way worse. So let's see what we got. Horizontal were really bad.
I think your mouse was on it before. Vertical. Yeah. So right in the middle of the paragraph, a typical person. Up.
A typical person can handle about 5 Gs, about 50 meters per second, meaning some people might pass out when riding a higher G roller coaster, which in some cases exceeds this point. Okay. Modern pilots can typically handle a sustained 9 G.
Oh.
Okay. And what is it?
But they're to be clear, the modern pilots they train for this. It's not like you just sit down and you can handle 9 Gs. Like they do exercises, the training on how to handle that correctly.
That's right. And when they say sustained, that might mean 30 seconds. I don't know if that means 11 minutes.
11 minutes.
That sounds...
That's a good point. I mean, can you hold your breath and squeeze your core and your calves and your hands and your quads and your glutes? Like you squeeze it so that way it tightens the blood vessels so that blood doesn't run to your feet. Same idea as like if you do a handstand, the blood pools in your head. Yeah. But now we're going the other way. Blood would pool in your feet, which means the blood's coming from somewhere, which means it's leaving your abdomen, leaving your lungs, leaving your heart, leaving your brain is really the key thing.
A constant 15 Gs for a minute, however, may be deadly. So not 15 Gs, it's 11 Gs over 9.5 Gs over 11 minutes. But getting
11 minutes.
11 minutes is really, really...
Can you centrifuge a person is what we're saying here.
Yeah.
Oof.
Okay, so possibly survivable. It ain't going to be pretty, though.
Ain't going to be pretty.
And then the other thing is... pass out. Yeah, the other thing is this 9.5 G a realistic turning acceleration? So I did some calculations over here.
Hey,
First off, I think this is the trajectories that are happening.
What's the red and blue?
The blue is the asteroid coming in and getting pulled towards the moon a little bit and then heading down towards the Earth. And the red is the spacecraft coming around the moon and then hooking up with the asteroid.
I see. So Earth is down below, and that's why the red does a loop around, because the spaceships are coming from the Earth. Okay, yes. Okay,
spaceships coming from the Earth, they got to turn around.
Okay, I'm with you.
So I was thinking, if they're doing a loop around the moon for 11 minutes, what's the required acceleration to do that?
Okay.
So the speed would be the distance divided by time. So we're doing 11 minutes, and if we do this turn in 11 minutes, that would be half the circumference of the moon.
Okay.
Assuming we're like skimming the surface real close.
Okay. I see. You're gonna get the smallest distance, because the smallest distance is where you need the least amount of force to come around.
I think that's where you need the most amount of force, but you get the most assistance from the moon the closer you are.
I see.
So, okay, maybe, and there's no atmosphere, so you can get pretty close.
Okay. Yeah, just skim the surface.
So the speed, half the moon's circumference divided by the 11 minutes. I looked up the circumference of the moon. That is, half the circumference is this number.
6 million meters, okay.
Yeah, that's 11 minutes.
Okay.
And so that speed is about 8,000 meters per second, which is 30,000 kilometers per hour and 18,000 miles per hour. So I can see fairly reasonable numbers.
That's not far off. What did it say? What did Truman say?
22,000
miles
per hour.
Yeah, not pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty close, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we were to do this transit, what would be the required G's to do this at a constant speed?
How much acceleration inward would you need to form a circle? Okay.
That's right. So acceleration from physics is v squared over r, velocity squared over radius.
Okay.
So our velocity we just found. And our radius that's the radius of the moon.
Okay.
And so plug those numbers in, you get 40 meters per second, which is 40 meters per second squared. That's 4 Gs. So less than 9.5 Gs, because he says 9.5 Gs.
That's right.
So interesting.
Okay.
So then I thought, okay, that means they're coming in, they're doing some kind of like going around the moon and speed up at the same time.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're saying in order to make the circle, you only needed 4 Gs.
Yep.
But then Truman's saying like, no, we're planning you for 9.5 Gs.
Yep.
So you're saying, where's that extra 5.5 Gs coming from? And you're saying that it must be the space shuttle's thrusters that are pushing you faster, which you then feel as a G-force. Right.
And I think at the beginning, most of the acceleration is going to be speeding up the spacecraft. And then towards the end, most of the acceleration will be in towards the center of the moon.
To pull you into the circle.
Right. And then you turn them off, and you should be going tangentially toward the asteroid.
Okay.
I think. Okay. So that means the approximate maximum speed, we use the same equation, but we now solve for a velocity and plug in 9.5 Gs here.
So you're going to get the difference in velocity, the acceleration.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so solve for velocity, it becomes square root acceleration times radius.
Yeah, looks good.
We get 9.5 Gs sustained by the astronauts plus the little extra from the moon.
Okay.
You don't feel this.
That's
you actually don't feel this because you're in free fall. Times the radius of the moon. There we go again. So that's this many meters per second squared. So the exit velocity is 12,800 meters per second, which gives us 28,600 miles per hour. So pretty fast, but not unreasonable, because I was looking up some Apollo numbers, like 10,000. Where are we? Right. 3 kilometers per second. Let's see. I got a number here. Here we go. 24,000 miles per hour for Apollo 13. So we're looking at 28,000, a little bit more. Not too far off.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I had imagined this as being they're just cruising into the moon, and then the moon's gravity whips them around. But it looks like from that 0.16 G, the moon is actually contributing very little to this. It's mostly thrusters.
So I think a slingshot maneuver, which is how they describe it, how Truman describes the maneuver, is when you use a planet's or a moon's gravitational pull to give you a little more momentum to save fuel. But if you need a quick turnaround, this 1.16 G just ain't going to do it if you need to have these high speeds. So the thrusters are contributing essentially all of the turnaround oomph.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's exactly right. I mean, because you would get almost the same number if you had just set that 0.16 G. If you set that to 0, you'd almost get the same number.
Right. You set this to 0, which is the moon's contribution. Essentially makes this number unchanged, a couple percentages, which then this is a couple percentages lower, but not really that much.
So it sounds like I don't understand why they went to the moon at all. For like the slingshot maneuver, when we're sending probes like deep into space, then we do that because we don't want to spend the fuel to like a thruster rocket. So you have the large massive thing you put in, you get the probe close, and the large massive thing pulls the probe, and then the probe can gain speed. It effectively steals momentum from the large massive thing. But if we're not utilizing that, then why do that at all? It feels like if they're going to have that much force from their thrusters, they could have just approached the asteroid directly and then turn the ship around and like thruster until they slowed down and just catch up to it.
Right. I think that's right. So if we were to draw a picture here, you're saying approach from this. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Approach
nice,
from.
nice.
Let's see. Let's get some, and it's red because it's our. Yeah. So we
Exactly.
approach from this direction,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And
Approach
then
the asteroid from this direction.
some vectoring
then-
thrusters to spin you around.
Yeah. And then at some point you decide to shoot your thrusters down, and you turn around. Okay. This is.
Yeah, you don't even have to overshoot, because if you overshoot, now you have to deal with the tail debris, that all those little bits that Truman is like, oh, I hope the moon will take care of it. But if you're on the front side, you could just back up. Like you're going you're going
This is not
up.
working. I'm deleting.
You're going up towards, in this picture, you just use your mouse, it's fine. Yeah. If you're going up towards the asteroid, you turn around, and then you
Turn around.
effectively, you're like backing up into our parking spot.
Right. So you head in this picture, you're heading up, and you just turn your thrusters around
Do, 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 do.
until
But you're still drifting up towards
Oh, wait.
the asteroid.
Oh, yeah. I did that wrong. You're going up, and you shoot. Your thruster goes up until you slow down, and then come back the other direction towards the asteroid.
Yeah,
And getting a little bit of assistance from the moon, not important.
not important. And then you can avoid all that debris. You could come in from
That's
the
right.
front, just a direct shot. You don't have to worry about getting close
That's
to the
right.
moon and skimming the surface. Hey, don't do any of that.
That's
and
right.
if you have the thrusters, which apparently they do, because their acceleration was mostly thruster, then just do that.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. So I think that means
I'm not an orbital dynamics person. Like I don't have a degree in that, but it seems like it, right?
Yeah, I think that means you approach directly at the asteroid, firing your thrusters to slow down and turn around, and then you just gently come in from the front.
Yeah, I guess you have these vectoring thrusters that on the nose of the ship is like pss, 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 and it spins it around. Then you use those big conical thrusters in the back to push a back behind you, and then you're effectively now you're facing down in this picture.
Yep.
And so when you thruster up, you eventually are backing up into a parking spot. Yeah, I mean that's it.
So I think the moon was not important for this maneuver.
Look dope though, super cool.
Super cool, but not useful. I don't think.
Unnecessary.